Hello, everyone. It's been a while since I have updated you guys on what's going on with the Battle of Dresden. It is the conclusion of the 840 turn, so it's been about an hour since the last uh, video that I posted, and it's been a rather busy little hour. What's happened over here on the French left is that the Russians have come in. They had their advanced uh, avant-garde group come in, and they were actually able to capture this French redoubt and kill off the gunners. And the French have put up a bit of a defense and made a little bit of a counterattack and pushed the Russians back a little bit along here. Um, the other thing that's been very effective is some of the crossfire that has been coming from the other side of the river. So over on this, on the opposite bank of the Elbe, there are some static batteries that the French have been pounding the Russians over there. And it's gotten a fair number of them to get whittled down, and more than a few have failed their morale checks. So I've now just moved some gunners back in at the end of the 840 turn to restaff that redoubt, and hopefully it'll be back in action again and clearing off those Russians. Now there's another big Russian column that's activated now at 9 o'clock that's starting to march up the road towards that position. So those French are going to be in trouble. But that is the strongest division that the French have on the board right now. So they're doing the best they can. Now, if we look a little further uh, towards the center of the line here, things are not going quite so well for the French. Um, they've been hit rather hard by the Prussians. So I've got one brigade of Prussians coming in over here, another brigade of Prussians coming over here. Um, I basically dislodged a lot of the French defenders that were in the vicinity of this redoubt here. And it's getting isolated, and there's a good chance that I'll be able to capture it sometime in the next turn or two with the Prussians. Um, the French over on this side are rather weak. Um, these units that they have here are provisional units, so they're just kind of raw recruits, and so they don't quite have the morale to stand up to a concentrated attack. So there's probably a pretty good chance that that side is going to buckle, probably sometime sooner than later. There is some favorable terrain to defend in, so I think that the French will be able to hold a line across here. The Prince Anton Gardens and some of the suburbs look like they have some good general order terrain that will help the French because they've got sucky morales. Um, that's kind of what's going on over on that front. Now, if we move a little further, we'll see that so far this part of the line hasn't been engaged yet. These readouts over here and these guns over here are pouring some fire into these oncoming Prussians, trying to do as much damage as they can, um, and and so far getting some success, not as much as I would have liked. Um, Now, if we go a little further this way, you'll see that there are various and sundry Austrian units that are getting ready to move up the line. We've got a bunch of cavalry and skirmishers there. I've got Austrian cavalry over here, and then a big wad of infantry coming up this way. Um, And so they're going to be hitting the French over in this area here pretty soon, and probably within another couple of hours, well, at least in another hour, I'll be able to get that big mass of Austrian infantry into play. The French have got some batteries over there. They're trying to do their best. I have a grand battery over here for the Austrians that's pouring some fire in and kind of softening up these French positions before I come in with some cavalry and with the additional infantry that's over there. If we go a little further, you can see there's that big group of Austrian infantry. Now over here on the far French right, Pujol and his light cavalry division have done a pretty good job slowing down these Austrians. They have been making some progress, slowly advancing, taking some hits from the French gun, and just kind of being stymied a little bit because they lack much light cavalry. They did get one of their light cavalry units back, and it's probably going to have a little bit more of an impact. They had routed earlier, and now it's back in. And the French have got their full contingent of light cavalry now. They'd had a unit that routed and has returned as well. So we're just kind of playing patty cakes over there, trying to scare off the cavalry with the Austrians, and the French are just trying to slow down the Austrians. And so far, that's kind of what's been going on. If we go back towards the center, the French had a little bit of a setback in that the Marshal Saint-Cyr had been wounded. Now, strictly speaking, the way the game rules are, that would prohibit the French from getting a command point and using that to create a maneuver unit for the corps. And that would really mean that that all these French units are frozen. I think that's a little bit severe. I think that the local division leaders would be able to at least mount a defense. And so even though the corps can't be activated and kind of move in some grand scheme, I would think that the division leaders are going to be able to control their sector. And so I'm allowing them to continue to move and maneuver their units instead of just, otherwise it'd be hopeless for the French if they couldn't do anything. We're still several hours away from Napoleon coming back, and Saint-Cyr is out for 2 hours with an arm wound. So that would more or less be the death of the French if they were just nailed in place. So that's kind of how things stand at the end of the 8:40 turn.